sincere and broader dialogue to address the menace of Galamsey.
And in business, banking consultant Nanu Champon expresses full confidence in the Bank of Ghana in stabilizing the Ghana cedi despite recent challenges.
And in sports, show-stopping performance from Asante Koroko's Brazilian midfielder Fabio Gama as the Porcupine Warriors beat Liberty Professionals by 2-0.
And later here on Newsnight, thousands of students arrive at various universities across the country as they ready themselves for the new academic year amidst the pandemic.
Oh, I'm very happy. I didn't want to go anywhere fast, so I'm happy I got this.
Yeah, we are here to do the manual registration.
We'll take you to the various campuses as we focus on how schools will ensure safety of students and the faculty.
We have that and more in tonight's edition of Newsnight. Please do well to join us with your thoughts and comments. If you're watching us live on Facebook, you can leave it there. Also on WhatsApp is 055 11 997. I am Emefa Apawu.
And my name is Ernest.
And tonight there's intense lobbying for ministerial and other positions in the Akufo-Addo government as the president firms up his nominees for appointments. Joy News is learning tonight that the president will this week nominate persons subject to approval by the Council of State for appointment to his office, key amongst them the Chief of Staff and Secretariat to the president. Now Joy News is also learning that some ministers who served in the first term of the president have been asked to continue in acting positions. Well, the leader of the NDC side in parliament has a reaction to that. We'll be hearing it. But let's first understand how this is unfolding. And presidential correspondent Elton Brobe joins us in studio with more. So, Elton, what are you learning about the nominees for the president's office first?
Right. So, what we are picking is that that set of lists will come up first. Sorry, we are learning that set of lists will come up first. And then that'll be followed by the appointees or nominees for the cabinet positions. Now, for the President Secretariat, we are talking about the Chief of Staff, 2 deputies, the Secretary to the President. These are the names that, these are the lists that we know that will come up first. And then hopefully somewhere around Wednesday or Thursday, we'll hear out of the cabinet minister. So the person to be appointed to the office of the Chief of Staff, 2 deputies, and the names we are picking for the Chief of Staff position is most likely to be occupied by another female. But before Christmas, we knew of just one name. Now we are picking 3 names, which also includes the current Foreign Affairs Minister, a presidential staffer, Oboshi Sai-Kofi, and then the current person occupying this particular position, the Chief of Staff. So these are the 3 women that we are picking. One of them most likely to occupy the space as the Chief of Staff. Now, there will also be 2 Deputy Chief of Staffs for the office of the President. Remember that the current holders of the offices that we are talking about.
Well, I'm not sure if we can say current because that administration has expired.
Thank you.
But you're talking about Abu
Jinapo
and Asenso Boache, who are now MPs.
All of them. What I'm picking is that Asenso Boache, for example, might work at the presidency as a Minister of State at the presidency, and then may continue to do the kind of work that he's doing for the president. But several names have come up for the position of deputy.
But it's not clear the position that Abu Jinapo, for instance.
We do not know that for sure for now. But at this time in the life of a president, you will hear so many names. Everybody trying to get your attention.
And the lobbying.
You receive names from the regions as their preferred candidate for various positions in the government. But within the President Secretariat, these are people you're going to work directly with. So you assume that the persons you're going to appoint will have some kind of relationship with him. So for the Deputy Chief of Staff position, we are hearing Mr. Kwabena Japan, for example, and a few other names that we are picking.
The former General
Secretary of the party. In the election that saw President Akufo-Addo's re-election, which is currently a matter before the Supreme Court. It was quite visible during the campaign rounds that we went for the president, and we are told that he's been considered for the position of a deputy chief of staff. Whether that will materialize, the next few days will tell. And then the director of communications at the presidency, Eugene, we are told, will continue to hold this particular position. There's also a position of a director of operations, national security advisor to the president. So these are very immediate appointments that we know that President Akufo-Addo will make before we then now move to the cabinet.
The ministerial
positions.
appointments.
Okay, but it looks like you are loaded with a lot of information when it comes to these appointments. So before we talk about the Council of State, let's talk about the ministerial appointments. What are you picking up? So you've given us the list for presidential. So
For the office of the president.
So let's look at the ministerial appointments.
So we are still digging to get the list. At this stage, what I've been told is that there's been several recommendations to the office of the president. Now, we are at the point where what is left is for the president to announce the nominees for the various positions. So what I've picked is that the president has an array of, names. And two things will define who gets what. And I'm told that president is looking for competence and people who are very good at what they do. So competence and a very good person. These are the two instruments that President Akufo-Addo is working with. Beyond all the recommendations, now he has the ultimate responsibility of saying that this is the person I want to pick out of the recommendations that have come up so far. But currently...
But before you even move into the names, because you're talking about the two things, competence and...
somebody who is very good at what they do.
Who is good at what they do. Is the president looking at reducing the size of the government? Because that has been the issue. And considering the numbers he has in parliament...
around the fufu.
Exactly.
Considering that...
we are getting into. So maybe let him give us the gist. I want to hear the names.
You want to hear the names?
Yes.
That's fine.
Then
So
we'll look at
let's
the
look at
measure.
that. Let's go into the names now.
So let me start from those who've been asked to act in their position. So we've picked information that Kenneth Oriata, for example, is still acting as the finance minister, even though we are yet to see an official letter from the president to him. Also, the Minister for Trade and Industry, Alan Chemanten, Haji Ali Mahama for the local government, Kojo Nkrumah, and some other presidential staffers. Now, we didn't hear any other name beyond these names. And what I've picked from the office of the president is that what the president has done in terms of asking them to act subject to the appointment of substantive ministers is in line with the Presidential Transition Act 2012, Act 845, which gives the president the right to do so. So these individuals have been asked to act in their respective positions. Now, when I probed further at the Jubilee House, I was told that I was given two names as persons who will have automatic walkover into their new roles, unless these individuals say that because of some other position, we don't want the position. And I'm told of the Roads Minister and the Minister for Trade. These are the two names I was told that we should wait and hear. It is a done deal. Now, the president, as I indicated earlier, is still in the process of looking through all the recommendations that come from the party, the regions, close associates, and everybody. And we'll come to the decision to say that out of these three individuals that have been identified for this particular portfolio, I'm picking this person. This is where we are now.
And for me, the roads minister's position is not quite surprising because you remember the president at his inauguration mentioned that this year is the second year of roads. And so you need a man whom you started this agenda with to continue and execute
Some
it.
would disagree with you.
Well, depending on where you live and what
Exactly.
you're seeing and which part of the country you are.
But I'm
really.
sure we'll get into the measures and then whether there will be a reduction in size of government. That's key for many people.
Again, the information we are picking is that the president is looking at working with numbers below what he worked with in his first term. For example, some ministries will be realigned with existing ones. We're talking about ministries like aviation will come under transport, railway, sanitation will go to local government, business development, special development will come under trade, and a few others. So
we're hearing information ministry may be joined to the communication.
I'm also being told that regional ministers may not have deputy ministers to work with. So
that is one
clearly,
issue that has come up also strongly.
From this background, you can see that in itself is giving an indication that we are likely to see a reduction in the number of ministers that were appointed in the first term of the president. So we are looking at somewhere around 70 and 80. That's what I've been told.
But in all this, when are we likely to hear this formally?
This week, I'm told, will end with the names of the cabinet ministers. That will be the list that the president is likely to send to the Speaker of Parliament for referral to the appointment committee for them to start work. And what I'm picking is the President Kufuor is hoping that by the end of February, we'll have a full component of his cabinet ministers so that the finance minister can get himself ready to present a budget to the nation in the first week of March. So they have a lot to do from now till the end of February. First will be the appointees who work directly with the president, and then before the weekend, we'll have the nominees for the various cabinet positions.
And the president was in Kumasi yesterday, and he reacted to development in Parliament.
Right. So first, he spoke about the fact that what happened in Parliament was distasteful, but it ended beautifully with the election of the Speaker, Alban Babin. But he also made it clear in that interview with Kumasi BH radio station of Pimswar that the election of Alban Babin was by consensus rather than declaration of results cast by members of Parliament before the Speaker came to being.
And that has been disputed by the NDC.
Exactly. So now it is very unclear under what circumstances the current Speaker was declared winner of the elections. Even though I must admit that in Parliament when we covered it, there was at no point that the chairperson that presided over that particular meeting, the Clerk of Parliament, announced the results as an outcome of the elections that took place in the night that got disrupted when Carlos Ahenka decided to do what he did. But President Kufuor said the consensus that was reached by both leaders, which resulted in Alban Babin being declared a winner, is what will guide his relationship with Parliament going forward.
Speaker to be Parliament, but you force us to share the air cost. Only who say sad to be in MYA. The non-to man bar say Ira Babin and there or Speaker of the 8th Parliament. Both sides in a dear dream bear, every share I say they believe friend of consensus. Say I say no, Yama or no, and I'll be the Speaker. Now fe MPP ni be the first deputy. Now 2 deputies now so be every different parties. Parties, different sides of the house. Each being one party, and then a man about to say, independent. Siama or from an as independent candidate. A Pejano be a second deputy speaker. Now, maybe the say a good sign. Good sign said the 2 sides are prepared to sit down together. Now, Yesha acquire debate to me among Koswa and Abba. Now, Sonia. Jesus, Sanya Baba, Assemba, your best chance. We now a dear Hunkomo, Yasha. Ghana, any baby, I call Adio. Now, each situation, ever say Abano, Echo Baby, Namra Sebidrum, also Echo Baby for I don't know, Mwa, Manu, Manu Chichen, at every stage, Parliament, most of the time, Parliament, most of the time, Parliament inquiry, by consensus, most of the time. They do critical bills, NDC, one not drink it, and MPP, so no, it can be to me the big differences, but even there, because of the way our parliaments are constituted, this time the consensus which means that at every occasion consultations on both sides will be the way forward. And I
see. And
so that's President Akufo-Addo there interacting with a Kumasi-based radio station and over the weekend. Well, we'll also be hearing from the NDC side of Parliament. I always shout out to say the minority side. So yesterday on the probe, we had the NDC Chief Whip, Mutaka Mubarak, mention that once the nominations are done, they will be part of the vetting process. His leader, Haruna Idrisu, has also been talking about it. But let's bring in the NPP Chief Whip as well, the Chief Whip on the side of the NPP, Mr. Frank Anodompre. We're grateful for your time here on Newsnight, sir. So the last parliament was unsuccessful in the approval of the revised standing orders. So clearly, The old one is still in place, something that came up in my interaction with Muntaka Mubarak as well. How are you going about constituting the various committees of Parliament going forward? Hello, Mr. Anodompre. It appears we've just lost Mr. Anodompre there on the phone. We'll get him back, but we can listen to Muntaka Mubarak on the probe last night.
What do we do with committees? Because usually those in the majority will form all the chairpersons. Now we don't have that. Our view is that, I feel very strongly about it. We need to split the committees. Yes, there are some committees who are already on our way to getting a new standing orders. And the new standing order, we're going to make it certain. Yeah, there are some committees that we have to give to those in government, and some committees, those in government like finance, foreign affairs, intelligence, defense, and interior to those in government. Then subsidiary legislation, government assurance, and then public accounts to those in opposition. Then we'll now share the rest of the committees based on our strength from the election. But this, we are, even before the new standing orders kicked in, we are confronted with a situation where we have equal strength. So it gives us the opportunity to start the split of the committee. So when we are sharing committee and everything he will get, he can never be added to any number. That is why in the brochure itself, it was 137, 137, 1. And that's how it will need to begin to reorient yourself. I believe that Honorable Ernest is having a hangover. He came from the morning where he had 169 members. You can be here, or if you want, you can do whatever you want to do, because he's sure the 169, he'll be able to have the numbers to do his thing. And he ran into now 137, and he forgot that his house 137, 137. He was still thinking that his house 169. And I believe that retuning must be done by him. Even though I know he's going to have a lot of time, because the bullying in the 7th Parliament was just so much that I doubt whether I, sitting here, would trust him when he comes to the can we negotiate about this? Because he was never a consensus builder. He just ran the house. If you want, come. If you want, you can stay away. We don't care. We have what it takes to do it. And that was how he was running the house. Now that we have this, I believe he must sit, reflect, and realize that a new dawn has come. We will work in the best interest of this country, but believe me, anybody who is coming for vetting, please prepare. Yes, the days that you come, you just say anything, and then you go because the people have a number, then and then get away, it's over. So please, when you are coming, take us more serious, because if you take us less serious, you may get the shock of your life.
We'll bring in Mr. Frank Anodompre once we're able to raise him to respond to some of the claims made by Mr. Muntaka Mubarak on the split of some of the committees and which ones the governing party will be taking and which ones the NDC side will be taking.
And I guess the point he made was that if the new standing orders were adopted, then it would have been easier, it would have given a clear direction. And so perhaps they'll need to meet and then agree on how to constitute the committees.
But it's interesting why they were not able to approve that standing orders. But one person that was part of this whole process is Dr. Rashid Rahman, an expert in parliamentary practice. He joins us on the line. So, Dr. Rashid Rahman, like I was saying, I know you had a part to play in the revised standing orders of Parliament. How come it wasn't approved?
Well, thank you very much for having me. This standing orders revision has a very long history. It started, I think, 4 or 5 parliaments behind. So I am not surprised that we couldn't get it through this time around. But the conditions are now right. I just hope that in the 8th Parliament, their first order of business would be to take a look at this, consider the changes that were proposed, but also think about the situation that we are in now, so that they would make some revisions that will reflect this situation, but also think ahead. In a situation where, for instance, we don't have a majority, how should we operate? In a situation where, the opposition has more numbers in Parliament, than the ruling party, and so on and so forth. So all these are considerations that they would have to look at, going forward.
Okay, so what we have, the revised one, makes provision for the situation we have now, where both sides have the same numbers with one independent person on the other side. What does it really say? Or how does it cater for the situation?
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
Because, if you read Order 151, the standing orders, it talks about the fact that there will be a committee of selection, during the first sitting of Parliament, and then that committee will be tasked with, selection of committees and the leadership and so on. In our Parliament, unlike some other parliaments, committee leadership automatically goes to, the party in power. I think that's, or the party that has the majority. That has been the practice over the years. In some parliaments, once the committee is formed, then it's up to the membership of the committee to engage in the process of electing their leader and deputy and so on and so forth. But in our parliament over the years, I think the practice has been there, and that's what the standing orders, even though there is the view that, there are consultations that go on and so forth before the committee of selection makes its decision. But Emefa, if you allow me, I want to comment on what I heard from Honorable Muntaka about the committee on the selection.
The composition of the new committees?
No, the committee on selection, the appointments committee.
Okay.
He makes a very interesting point, and I've been reflecting over the last couple of days whether we are not at a point in our history where we have to begin thinking about, a situation in which, for very important issues that come before Parliament, we should need 2/3 majority to approve. So for instance, loan agreements that come before Parliament, our government in debt, generations yet unborn. Yet when the process of approving these loans comes before the House, it's just by simple majority. That is not good enough. When it comes to approving ministers of state after the committee has done its vetting, it's usually by simple majority. And so many other things like appointment of Supreme Court judges and so on. These are very heavy and serious issues that border on our national development. And I think it's time we started thinking about how some of these could be reversed. And that can force the hand of Parliament, that can force the hand of the two sides in the House to work together. And that, look, you cannot come here, like Honorable Muntaka said, if people come there and they don't take them serious, they are not going to, they are going to be surprised, if I can quote him directly. But for me, beyond that, I would want to see someday where we look at a 2/3 majority. That's about 206. And in our history, we have never had a parliament where one party has had, maybe except in the early days when there was a boycott, we've never had a situation where one party had about 206 members. Okay. So what it does mean is that we will see a lot of consensus, we will see a lot of working together, we will see a lot of dialogue. Most of the things that we've been talking about in the last few days. And
that will be very important. But just as we wrap up on this, what will be your suggestion in terms of the composition of the new committees with the situation that we have? 137 on each side with the independent candidate. How would you suggest they go about this?
Well, honestly, if I would maybe attempt to provide some suggestions, I would say it would have to be a lot of dialogue and discussion between them. Look, before the election of the speaker, I had said if the dialogue and negotiation had started, maybe the NCP could have gotten the NDC to agree, given the odds that were against them on paper. Maybe the the MPP could take the speaker position, and then the other leadership of committees will be given to MPP. But nobody was listening to that. And this is what we have now. In the same vein, I think already the standing orders, the revision that was being done, provides some groundwork. They should go by that and then maybe try and sit down and see who gets what.
If you were to stick your neck out, would it be a split? Do you want them to split the committees in Parliament?
Yes, I would say they should split. Because at the end of the day, MPP is not going to get all that it wants. NDC is not going to get all that it wants. That's the reality.
Okay. We'll leave it here for now. We're grateful. That's Dr. Rashid Draman, expert in parliamentary practice. But we can hear from the leader of the NDC side, Haruna Idrisu. He has raised concerns about why ministers who are yet to be passed by Parliament are acting in various capacities already. He's been speaking to Daniel Dazi on a yet-to-be-aired episode of On the Record show. Mr. Idrisu described the act as illegal.
I've seen some ministers still hold themselves about as if they are ministers. That is unlawful, that is illegal, that is unconstitutional. As we speak today, there is no minister in Ghana. And therefore, there is no, there is not. No, he got it wrong. Go and read the Succinct ruling in J. Mensah versus Attorney General, 1997, Supreme Court ruling. Their mandate have lapsed. Until they are nominated, go through vetting, prior approval of Parliament, they cannot hold themselves out as ministers. The same judgments of New Patriotic Party questioned it when Kwame Peperenko were asked to follow through. So, there's a Presidential Transition Act. The president must be law-abiding, rule of law. As far as we are concerned, there's nothing like acting minister. The Supreme Court ruling does not recognize an acting minister.
So what will the minority do about
it? And I say the Supreme Court ruling, J. Mensah versus Attorney General, I have a copy I'll read to you, does not recognize any person purporting to hold himself as minister and wanting to exercise the authority and mandate of a minister. Their time have lapsed. That is why it's interesting. What happened in Parliament? We saw some ministers are being pointed that they gave command to soldiers or military or police at that material time at midnight. There was no minister for defense. There was no minister for interior. Whoever gave that authority acted unlawfully and would hold him accountable to that.
So there
was no authority. I say there will be an inquiry to understand some people's conduct and whether that conduct is acceptable in a democracy, that a sitting member of Parliament can run away and even swallow ballot papers already printed.
Yeah. So, Mr. Idrisu, what specific action is your side of Parliament going to do and your party going to do about the President's directive to the ministers to act?
The President is wrong in law and his conduct is unconstitutional. He should be the last person to be acting in breach of the law, particularly when the Supreme Court ruling in J. Mensah versus Attorney General 1997 said that there can be no minister, and there's nothing like a holding minister until that minister is nominated with the prior approval of Parliament. I'm not aware that Parliament has approved any person to hold himself. What the Presidential Transition Act provides is that you hand over to the heads of bureaucracy.
That's the leader of the NDC side in Parliament, Haruna Idrisu, that's interacting with Daniel Dazi. Please catch the full interview of On the Record show. Is on the Joy Prime channel at 8 p.m. Daniel Dazi hosts Haruna Idrisu.
And Emefa, just on Parliament, before we move to other stories, the Christian Council of Ghana has issued a statement on the violence that characterized the selection of the Speaker on the 7th of January. I'll read excerpt of it. It says, the eminent persons group of religious bodies in Ghana wishes to first congratulate Honorable Alban Sumana Kingsford Badmin on his election as the Speaker of the 8th Parliament of the 4th Republic of Ghana and wish him well as he leads the legislature. Secondly, to express her shock over the deeply sad scenes in Parliament on the morning of Thursday, 7 January 2021 during the election of the new Speaker. We must call this out for what it is: a deliberate assault on ethics and leadership. Violence will never succeed in overruling the will of the people. Of particular concern is the snatching of the ballot papers during the counting of ballots during the election of the Speaker by the Member of Parliament for Tema West, Honorable Carlos Ahinkra. The Honorable Member is reported to have been accosted by a colleague member to retrieve the ballot papers he has snatched. Again, Honorable Mohammed Muntaka Mubarak, John Abdullahi Junapo, and others for kicking or dissembling the ballot box and the booths, among others. This is equally embarrassing. And they finally end. Elton, you have other portions of this?
Well, so Elton has a copy of a letter. You know that Haruna Idrisu has been raising concerns about why ministers are yet to be passed by Parliament, are acting in various capacities. You have a letter from the Office of the President.
So Emefa, I said that the information we have relates to certain ministers, finance, trade, local government, and then some presidential staffers. Now, this letter that we have is dated the 8th of January 2021, signed by Akwesi Afema Opare, the Chief of Staff, and it's addressed to Honorable Dan Botwe, Ministry of Regional Reorganization and Development, Accra. Now, the letter says that pending the recomposition and reorganization of government, I'm directed by His Excellency the President to request that you act as his representative at the Ministry of Regional Reorganization and Development. This directive is in accordance with Section 14.5 of the Presidential Transition Act 845 of 2012. You are to take note of the provision of Section 14.5, which says that you shall not take a decision involving a policy issue. Also, you are to act in accordance with letter and provide the letter's reference number dated 21st December 2020, which gives directive on financial commitment, recruitment, among others. And it ends by saying we count on your usual cooperation. And it is signed by Akwesi Afema Opare, Chief of Staff, addressed to Mr. Dan Botwe, Minister of Regional Reorganization.
Okay, so there are similar letters sent to other key ministers to act in that position. So it's more like response to the comments made by Mr. Haruna Idrisu on why some ministers are acting in that capacity when they've not been vetted and approved by Parliament yet. So there's a communication, an official communication to that effect. But you would want to watch on the record for more on this. But it's time now for business. I see a number of your messages that will be going through them. Ernest will go through them shortly. But it's time for business with George. We are Faith.
Hi, Emefa. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well.
I'm particularly interested in the Ministry of Finance and Trade, and I was reading some reports.
What are you picking up?
Nothing right now, but you know, there's been an interesting development in the Fourth Republic, and I stand to be corrected, where a Minister of Finance has not been able to straddle between two government sessions. So you have a situation where a term ends and then the minister might be reshuffled one way or the other. But what will happen to Honorable Kenofre, whether he's going to stay or will be asked to move to another ministry?
Interesting what happens
and then that's what you're looking for. But don't forget that you're also looking forward to the budget being presented this quarter. We're looking forward to a Eurobond fundraising as well. And so if the structures are there, can anybody step in to do that? Or he necessarily have to do that?
The office is not about one person. Yeah.
All right. Coming up in business, banking consultant Anotu Champon expresses full confidence in the Bank of Ghana in stabilizing the Ghana city. And we assess the Securities and Exchange Commission approach in notifying the public about unlicensed firms operating in the country. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one-stop shop for all your office essentials. And Alliance Insurance, we secure your future.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, don't worry, Grandpa. There are still 5 ripe and 15 unripe mangoes on the tree.
That's my boy.
Grandpa, it's still 1.2 kilograms of rice in the container.
My boy. And how much credit did I spend last week?
Well, you spent 5 CDs on calls, 2 megabytes on data, and you sent 5 SMSs.
We are the first network that tells you exactly what you have spent and when you spent it. Dial *156# to access your statement on MTN. We are good together. We day for you everywhere you go.
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kingdom Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom.
Kingdom. And my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first point of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office, Osu Akwaje, or our office near the Osu Stadium. We're also in Tema Community 1, opposite Olam SHS, Kumasi KNUST Campus, UCC Cape Coast, and now at the Marina Mall, Airport City. Or call us 0302 764101, 764209, or 762792. Visit our website www.kingdomgh.com.
Alliance Life Insurance, we secure your future. Alliance Life Insurance, we secure your future. Alliance Life Insurance, yeah, bohudachi hubai. Alliance Life Insurance, yeah, bohudachi hubai. Alliance Life Insurance since 1890. At Alliance Life Ghana, we have a wide range of life insurance packages, suit or pocket for individuals, groups, associations, and businesses.
We cover your employees, your funerals, pensions, and children's education, project, and your future. Call us on 0302-267-892 or visit our website www.alliance-gh.com for more inquiries. Alliance Life, we secure your future.
Welcome back to Business on Newsnight. Now, banking consultant Ernest Champon says he firmly believes the Bank of Ghana has what it takes to firmly stabilize the Ghana cedi in the first quarter of this year. Now, this was after the local currency recorded some slight dip in the first 11 days for this year. Now, this has left many worried about whether the cedi can withstand the usual pressure in every first quarter of the year. Ernest Champon says that there is no cause for alarm.
After the end of the Second World War, we came to the exchange regime, and either you fixed or you float. What we have is a managed float, and so they have the resources to manage it. So I mean, empirically, they've been able to prove that they can manage it and maintain it at a target level. So I have confidence in them that that can be achieved. They've got the resources to be able to manage it. And so if the target is that level of stability, then we can expect that to be there. Yeah.
Let's look at the decision by government to give a bailout to the investment space. In terms of the decision to clear these debts or pay all these people before the end of the year, what do you think will be the spillover effect in terms of confidence in the banking sector?
For health and the build-up or increase in confidence, because what happened first in the deposit-taking institutions and then in the investment market did affect confidence. Now the deposit-taking institutions have all been settled, maybe 1 or 2% outstanding, and now coming to the investment sector, they settled those who had not gone to court, and now the idea of having a human face to capitalism are also settling those where the owners have gone to court, but not the government which has gone to court. I think.
And that's banking consultant Ernest Champon. And the Bank of Ghana last year revealed that it is building enough reserves to help the expected pressure in the first quarter of 2021, which is usually being done by many or seen by many as a big test for the central bank in managing the Ghana cedi. Now, the recent directive from the Securities and Exchange Commission on warning the public about dealing with the Chinese firm has again reignited concerns about the regulator's approach. But should there be a better way out in dealing with these announcements? Well, we have more in the following Business Desk report.
This is not the first time the Securities and Exchange Commission has come out to warn the public about dealings with a firm that it has not licensed. One can talk about the famous Men's Gold and even other money-doubling firms. But this has led to a lot of questions about the approach by which the regulator of the capital market is taking in dealing with such situations. With this situation, it begs the question on how the Securities and Exchange Commission identified this Chinese firm as in not operating with the required license. Did the Commission also engage them? Also, will this approach actually save investor funds
if there are any. Just like what happens when the regulator comes with such announcement, the company in question, that is the Shai Century Hin Hyun Group and the Sairu E-Commerce Ghana, is already challenging the Commission on this, insisting that it has the necessary legal mandate to operate in the country. We await the response from the Securities and Exchange Commission, especially as when there is a problem, government may have to step in to deal with the situation or bill customers.
And that was the Business Desk report. Meanwhile, Executive Director of Financial Literacy Africa, Dr. Richard Kwame Frimpong, said the Securities and Exchange Commission could have done better in dealing with the situation.
With hindsight from what happened with Men's Gold, my expectation is that even before this release, SEC by this time should be having a conversation and an engagement with anybody that even registers this organization in question, and possibly even go underground and even become potential clients of this kind of organization and verify for themselves if indeed the transaction that is going on falls under the Securities and Exchange Commission, rather than to just issue a circular and say that customers should just be aware. So my expectation was that it was not just going to be just a circular released, but it was going to be something more than just issuing a circular.
Executive Director for Financial Literacy Africa, Dr. Richard Kwame Frimpong. And the Association of Ghana Industries is pushing for a strong linkage between the agric sector and manufacturing to bring about the necessary economic growth for this year. And this follows proposal by President Akufo-Addo that he plans to focus on job creation and value addition to bring about the needed economic growth for this year. But Chief Executive of the Association, Chuma Kwabwa, believes that government must also work to deal with the rising debt.
The debt overhang is huge. How are we going to deal with it? I think government has to be very smart about it and see how to deal with this huge debt that is hanging on our neck. There's high expectation in terms of expenditure, and then revenue, future of the revenue stream also, and the balance in it is going to be a bit of a challenge. So controlling and managing your expenditure will be very key in making the macroeconomic environment stable. Oil prices, I'm sure now that we are coming out of the coronavirus pandemic situation, definitely oil prices would improve, and other commodity prices will also improve. Gold didn't suffer that much, and therefore we expect to see some improvement there.
Chief Executive of the Association of Ghana Industries, Chuma Kwabwa. And that's all for business on Newsnight. Back to you, Emefa.
Thank you very much, George. Let's go through some messages that we've received so far. This one from citizen Sika Togo from East Legon. He says, I think that the bizarre scenes in Parliament must be of genuine interest to all well-meaning Ghanaians, and as such, a probe must be instituted by leadership to unravel that mystery. We have one from Napoleon Bonaparte in Tumu, Sankofa base, and now he says, we are appealing to President Akufo-Addo to reduce the size of his ministry to 50. He wants 50 ministers.
From 120 to 50.
Yes, we've heard Elton talk about 80 of them. So 110 also. 125. Okay, so 125 to 50. Well, we'll see how that goes. But Ernest from Taifa, your namesake.
My namesake.
And he says, I'll be happy to see Ghana's finest President, Nana Akufo-Addo, appointing super competent ministers to move Ghana to the status of United States of America and German economy. The future of this government looks bright. And one final one from AU Farouk in Tamale. He says, it's obvious that Nana Addo has totally lost the fight against Galamsey. It takes us to our next story.
Exactly.
For tonight.
And government's decision to dissolve the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining has been met with mixed reactions as civil society organizations and a section of the population criticized the body for failing to serve the purpose for which it was set up. Now, some say dissolution of the committee is long overdue and that the president should have done it when officials who spearheaded the committee compromised themselves and the office they occupied by allegedly taking bribes and selling of seized mining equipment like excavators. And you know what happened with the excavators,
exactly.
Some of them going missing and all of that.
But even as the president decides now to move the fight against illegal mining from the Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation to the Lands and Natural Resources Ministry, we'll bring you a report by my colleague Latif Idris, who looks back at how the country has fared in the fight against illegal mining under President Akufo-Addo's first term.
As you can hear, that is the sound of gunshots from 500 police, and we
have the young men who are trying to counter the activities of
The small-scale mining sector in Ghana is central to the country's success story in the global gold production rankings. According to the Natural Resources Governance Institute, the sector in 2018 alone contributed some 2.3 billion Ghana cedis, representing 5% of government revenue. The sector as of December 2016, according to the institute, shows the small-scale mining sector alone employed an estimated 1 million miners, with artisanal small-scale mining contributing 31% of total gold production in Ghana. The small-scale mining sector also produced 174,439 carats of diamond, representing 100% of total diamond production in the country in the year under review. Stephen Mantiao, the former PIAC boss, does not only blame the president for the seeming failure in the fight against illegal mining. As far as he's concerned, vested interests and weak supervision among political appointees and institutions tasked with the mandate of eliminating the illegality are partly to blame.
I happen to have joined an international panel that reviewed Ghana's implementation of the Natural Resource and Environmental Governance Program, which was financed largely by the World Bank over a 10-year period. And the final report found that over the 10-year period that we sank money into the natural resource sector aimed at eliminating illegality, particularly in the mining, these illegalities rather increased. And according to the report, this was largely on account of vested interests.
And so that was a report brought to us by Latif Idris. Now we're joined on the phone lines by the head of operations of the task force established by the Interministerial Committee. So the president set up the Interministerial Committee, and the committee also set up a task force. And Francis Asibu was the head of the task force. He joins us on the line. Thank you very much for your time, sir, on Newsnight. The president says the committee has been dissolved. Your work essentially comes to an end. How do you react to that?
Good evening to listeners. I think that is in the right direction. No committee is set up to exist for life, and the committee reports must always be at certain times, particularly when whose vision that it is meets what the standard that the committee have done. And so I think in His Excellency's wisdom to dissolve the committee and then redirect its locus to another ministry is in the right direction, because the Lands and Natural Resource itself was part of the committee membership. And so, except that it is the rightful authority and not the environment that was supposed to handle it. And so I think it's in the right direction.
Would you say that you met your target, and in doing so, would you say that your task force contributed in doing that?
Yes. Natural justice informed by reports written and submitted to the committee by myself and the supervision of exhibits and the performance on the field, I can say emphatically that we had chopped almost 89% success in that fight, and that the fight was not a failure. Notwithstanding, I can say that if there is anything to write home about, the leadership was the problem. And I think that a committee that is supposed to be concerned with security issues, particularly when the interior was part of the committee, defense was part of the committee, the chairmanship, where it failed, is the cause of what we have experienced today.
So when you say the leadership was the problem, are you talking of the leadership of the committee or the leadership of the security aspect of the committee?
The leadership of the committee, because if you have defense and interior on the committee, and then there is a minister from environment, chairman, who had vetoed the whole operation You can see what it is. What are the report lines? Where do they get to? How are security issues analyzed? And so if there is any failure, it is not from the field. The failure starts from the leadership. And for the field operations, I can say the evidence is there. We didn't fail. What we were supposed to do, we have done. We have arrested, we have recorded, reports were written, exhibits were handed over. And if they were misappropriated or they were scandals, it is not from the operations level, but from the leadership level. And that is where the problem is.
And so it's surprising that you say that you achieved your target and you mark yourself 85%. With all of these challenges, I'm sure if the small-scale miners are listening and all the other stakeholders, they would really be questioning why you say that you have met your target and performed up to 85%.
A lot of them know about what I am talking about. It is not new. What is circulating in the country about these operations and the outcome is not new. And so they know what the facts are. They know.
And so just finally, the president is going to put the new committee eventually after the dialogue under the Lands and Natural Resources Ministry. What are your expectations going forward?
Yes, but expectations are that they will make good use of whatever programs that they would have to be put in place. Make sure there is a dialogue between the formal and the informal sectors of the mining system, that is the community mining, and then the other side. Because these institutions existed from others, and they had their own way to handle issues. And so, if we combine the two, I think maybe we would get much more better results if so desired.
But Mr. Asibu, it appears that you're absolving yourself of any blame by putting everything or the failure of this committee on the leadership of the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining. But the point is, the top there will ask you to implement certain directives that they put in place. But if you are unable to do so, because if you go on the ground, nothing seems to be happening. You are supposed to be enforcing what they put together. How then do you just blame leadership and absolve yourself?
You see, this committee was set up when this illegal mining had matured over 10 years on the field. So if you are looking at between 2, 3, 4 years that you wouldn't find a pit, that is not possible. You see, we have done a lot. If you see the air view pictures that will depict the kind of disaster was there then and now, you would understand what the issues are. So if you are trying to recover a 10-year error within 3-4 years, my sister, let us be honest. So the numbers and percentage of what we have done and that this government have done well for doing is there.
So what then do you reckon should change going forward if we are to win this fight?
Well, change in any form, whether it is structural, it is change management, programs and whatever, human beings have their own way of reacting to change. Whether it is positive, it is negative, human beings have a way of reacting to change. And so it is how the change ends and how people react to it that would inform whether the change has been successful or not.
Okay. We'll leave it here for now. This is definitely a conversation that would have to continue. That's Francis Asibu. He was head of operation of the task force established by the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining. And already the CSOs are raising concerns about the work that was done by that committee. But let's do sports now. And we have Hans Mensando joining us. Hans.
Hello, Emefa.
Hello,
Happy
Hans.
New Year.
Oh, so really, we are now meeting?
Yeah, we are now meeting this year.
No.
Spend some time in Takoradi, actually.
How did it
go? Good for you.
Yeah, I saw some pictures.
Yeah,
wow.
Really good.
Good
pictures
for
for me?
Yeah, don't worry. We'll talk about it. Good for you.
Oh, I see.
Tell us what's in sports.
Now, Kumasi Asante Kotoko moved to within 3 points of Ghana Premier League leaders Bichim United with a 2-0 victory over Liberty Professionals at the Accra Sports Stadium. Brazilian midfielder Fabio Gama assisted in-form striker Kwame Poku, who scored both goals before the 25th minute mark, increasing his tally to 5 goals for the season. Fabio Gama impressed in what was his first start for the Porcupine Warriors since his move before the start of the season. Now, in a related development, Kotoko have been admonished by renowned football administrator Kofi Manu not to seek redress at the Court of Arbitration for Sport, but rather focus on the CAF Confederations Cup.
I think that instead of them spending money to go to cars and all those things, they have the opportunity, another opportunity to play in the Confederation Cup. Let them psych up the players. Let them know that it is as good as playing in Confederation Cup is as good as playing in the Champions League. If they are able to go up to win the cup, it is a Continental Cup. And that will even reassure the players. And they will, instead of them sitting to wait that, oh, Kotoko said they are going to cast, we may still play in the Champions League, you will divert their attention. So I would advise that they should concentrate and make sure that they play and do well against Setif.
As Kofi Manu Blue Boy, the Veterans Football Administrator, advising Asante Kotoko not to go to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, but the name that is trending is called Kumerica Coutinho.
Hey.
Fabio Gama, you know him?
No.
Oh, Kotoko signed a Brazilian midfielder, and today he's been working the magic at the Accra Sports Stadium. I'm sure you'll be hearing more.
Has he changed anything for Kotoko? Because we saw the performance out there.
This performance was special. First start, created an assist. Overall performance was quite good. I mean, we've seen certain Kotoko Brazilian imports. We heard they were rice farmers somewhere in the Philippines and they were brought in. But this looks genuine.
Kotoko and their stories.
Thank
you very much. Now, Emefa, you know that tertiary institutions have reopened after 9 months. Mm-hmm. Exactly. And of course, we still have COVID-19. We're in a pandemic. And so measures have been put in place by the various institutions to prevent the spread of COVID-19. At the University of Ghana, they put in place what the students call double track to reduce the numbers. But there's also the issue of accommodation. And remember that the first years have had to report to school today or over the weekend because of the pandemic. And so the usual issue of accommodation is back again. And my colleague Kweku Asante was there. Here's his report.
I selected a whole page for it, and then they later sent me a message that the bed wasn't supposed to be selected. So it's very stressful. These are the challenges we are facing.
Right. So since you've been here, what exactly have they been telling you in terms of how they are going to fix your problem for you?
They're just telling us to go back home and then we are going to receive messages. I came here earlier and then that was what they told me. So I'm here today to rectify the problem.
Okay, problem is hall na say Legon Hall. And so within a short time, nothing. Who be wanting to me and say Yaba, I say the Peho Manquala. Higher train almost everybody, the airline train.
Oh, I'm hopeful. Yes, I'm just hopeful that I'll get a bed.
I mean, did you apply to only Legon Hall or you tried your luck with other halls?
No, I tried with the other traditional halls.
So it means that prior to today, you've always been a non-resident?
Yes.
Yeah, we are here to do the manual registration.
Right, so the challenges are a bit diverse. There are those who could not get a bed at all, and so they are expecting that management will do something for them. There are those who are able to apply but have some challenges because their beds all of a sudden were not available online, and according to management of the university, they should not have been able to apply for those beds, and so there were some technical challenges to that, and they would fix it.
So elsewhere in the Takoradi Technical University, the picture is different. We are told that the process was smooth with no accommodation problems. That's interesting.
Very interesting.
And we've been on the KNUST campuses as well. We are told that the situation fairly okay. But meanwhile, in the central region, the University of Cape Coast is running a hybrid system which will make use of both online and in-person modes of instruction. That's for how teaching will be done.
And as we wrap up on Newsnight, we've been reading messages from WhatsApp. You still have your WhatsApp running?
I still have, but I'm considering,
Have
switching.
you accepted the new terms and conditions?
You had to. You had no choice because it
well,
won't
unfortunately
allow you
for
to
me,
keep
I
on.
accepted before finding out what the consequences.
Do you ever read
because
it?
the app was slow. I needed to use it badly. It kept on popping up, so I just clicked on OK.
Yeah, because
and then later I asked Spikey, what is this thing about?
Are you kidding me? But some of you have been sharing your experiences with us.
It's not good. They can't sell our personal things to other
network. It's a bad idea. No, I'll still not use WhatsApp. I'll move to other network.
WhatsApp selling their products or personal details to Facebook, one way or the other, is going to breach our personal information. On security terms, I would say it's right, but it will also help people to be alert. Well, I'll keep that, but I'll make sure that my conversations or any information that I type on WhatsApp will be something that publicly will be reasonable.
So those are some people there. Some of them were aware, unlike me. I thought it was just a regular update. But a lot of people also move into Telegram, Emefa.
Yeah, and, I'm on there. Maybe I'm considering using that now. Maybe if you try reaching me on WhatsApp, you don't get me. I think Telegram is the best place now at this point. I can't afford for my details to be, sold to someone else.
Well, let's see how it goes. That's it for Newsnight. Many thanks for your company. My name is Ernest.
I am Emefa. Nanan Sokol is up next. We have a playback of That's My Opinion.